roid rage. You always hear the topic on roid rage. Is it real or is it not real? Yes, it is real to a certain extent. So drugs can make you more aggressive. It depends the androgenicity of a drug. For instance, like testosterone being very androgenic or trenbolone being even more androgenic. The more androgenic a compound is, it could or does a lot of times lead to more aggressiveness and essentially what they say, roid rage. Now, does steroids make an asshole a bigger asshole? No, you're already an asshole. It just made you an even bigger asshole. Steroids don't make someone from not being an asshole into an asshole. What steroids can do, it can make you more aggressive. So from going from nothing to medium, you could go from nothing to a little bit more amplified of an anger situation. But do steroids make you an asshole from not being an asshole? No, that is completely untrue. There are certain steroids that can initiate more of a roid rage response. For instance, the more androgenic a compound is, something like trenbolone or halotestin, fluoxymesterone, can initiate more of an aggressive state, as to oppose something non-androgenic like primobolan, methanolone, or oxandrolone like Anavar. Halotestin, aka the home wreckers, fluoxymesterone. There's a chart that shows androgenicity to anabolic ratio. So if you look at the androgenicity to anabolic ratio of something like testosterone, it's 500 to 500. Now when you look at the androgenicity chart of fluoxymesterone, even in comparison to a strong drug like testosterone, which is very androgenic, it's off the scale of your androgenicity. The androgenicity of certain compounds can initiate tremendous aggressiveness and can lead, what they say, roid rage. Okay, there are certain steroids that can block estrogen. For instance, like gestanolone propionate was first designed to be an anti-estrogen. It was the first state of anti-estrogen medications. As time went on and medical technology get better, other drugs have been introduced into, medicine that are superior for treating breast cancer than gestanolone propionate, aka Masteron, such as anastrozole or tamoxifen or letrozole now, because gestanolone carries a lot of androgenic side effects, which is not very good for females. Breast cancer tied to females, obviously. So there's a lot of masculinization carried with gestanolone that could happen to a female, such as male characteristics, facial hair growth. Females like the drug oxandrolone, Anavar. It carries no androgenicity to it. So therefore, there is no masculinizing to a female with that, as to opposed to something like testosterone or something even stronger, trenbolone or Masteron. They could still stay very feminine and build clean, lean muscle. Anavar can shut down your testosterone to a certain extent. There are certain drugs that are much heavier on shutting down your endocrine system. Not only does the androgenicity of a drug play a factor, but it's also where it's derived from. Anavar is a DHT-derived steroid. That not only leads to just less endocrine shutdown, it's the androgenicity and the impact on your HPTA that it can have. It's much less aggressive. For starters, absolutely stay away from trenbolone. Trenbolone is a 19-nor hormone steroid. First-time users want to keep their endocrine system as intact as possible. Trenbolone or 19-nor steroids such as DECA are the worst on your HPTA system. Stay far away from them. So what HPTA stands for is hypothalamus pituitary axis. That is the flow of your endocrine system. You want to keep that intact as much as possible when initiating steroids as a youngster. So now for those out there who want to know how testosterone is produced in the human body. LH and FSH, which is a luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, come from the pituitary, flow down to your body and tell your testicles, your Leydig cells in your testicles, to initiate testosterone production. What happens when you introduce exogenous testosterone, outside source, your body gets a shutoff signal. It stops creating luteinizing hormone, hence shrinking of the nuts and shutting off testosterone flow. That's why PCT, like HCG, which is artificial luteinizing hormone, to override the shutoff signal of exogenous testosterone. So peptides are completely different, all right? Peptides are relatively new. They've been introduced to us, I'd say, roughly between 8 and 10 years ago, all right? What they are, they're the strands and different sequences of amino acids. Now, first introduced to the market, peptides were introduced as growth hormone releasing peptides. They tie together. You have a releasing hormone and a peptide. They work synergistically together because if you introduce just one into your body, like a releasing hormone, your body will release something called somatostatin into your system and block the growth hormone release, okay? A lot of these peptides are also analogs of something called Grelin. Grelin is a hormone in your body that initiates hunger. You know, when you get the insatiable hunger chunk, your body's releasing tremendous amounts of growth hormone into the bloodstream at that point, all right? So that's why a lot of times peptides cause you to get extremely hungry, which is the downfall. So now think about it. You're taking an HGH releaser to get cut, but now you're shooting something to your body that makes you extremely hungry. It's almost like a double-edged sword. You burn the candle at both ends. It doesn't make sense, right? But now back to somatostatin. You have different times in your body where you release growth hormone. At night and different points in midday. So now if you to go against the grain of nature with what your body's supposed to release, that's when somatostatin starts to kick in. You shoot your releasing compound. Boom, somatostatin kicks in and blocks it. That's why you need a peptide. I use this analogy. The releasing hormone has the ball. The peptide is almost like a fullback blocking the somatostatin in order for it to score. That's why you have to do them in conjunction together so they work synergistically together to release growth hormone in the blood. CJC 1295 DAC, drug affinity complex. Why? It's very long lasting. It kicks in at certain points. Since it's so long lasting, you don't have to shoot peptides multiple times a day. Let me backtrack a little. Peptides now, they sound great. They're excellent strands of amino acids, release your own natural growth hormone, not as aggressive as exogenous growth hormone, which could carry a lot of side effects. So can peptides as well, but not as harsh as shooting humatrope or serostim. It's a pain in the ass because you have to stay on top of your food intake. Half hour after you eat, half hour before, you let the growth hormone release and flow through your body. A little bit of a pain in the ass. So CJC 1295 is a releasing hormone drug affinity complex. Why is very attractive to certain people? You only have to do it 1 to 2 times per week. So therefore, not with a peptide that coincide with it for it to work. Now, since it's a long-acting growth hormone releasing peptide in your body, when your body initiates growth hormone release, boom, that door is open. It's almost this the analogy, like there's pressure on the dam, and all of a sudden when it releases, boom, it dumps it in. That's the analogy I like to use. So why, like I said, it's attractive for people who aren't gonna stay on top of half hour before food, half hour after, 2 times a week, and it's going to work.